In late spring and early summer, the Surrey heathlands are alive with the sound of birdsong and insects. But if you're out and about on the Surrey heathlands at night, you'll hear a range of completely different sounds. And in this episode, we're searching for one in particular, and that's the unmistakable churring of the nightjar. We're here on Wisley Common with James Hurd from the Surrey Wildlife Trust to see if we can get up close and personal with this almost supernatural long-distance migrant, along with anything else we're lucky enough to bump into. And as always, we'll be looking at what we spotted on and around the Surrey heathlands this month. But in the meantime, I'm Phil, this is Ross, this is Duncan, and this is Surrey Uncommon. So it's a glorious June evening and we're actually back here on Wisley Common with James from the Surrey Wildlife Trust. Thanks for joining us again, James.
Pleasure, good to see you again.
So tonight we're going out hunting for nightjars, and James has the pleasure of actually living literally out on a common, and that must be pretty amazing, James.
Yeah, I have quite a few pinch me moments, especially in the summer when I might let the dog out before bed of an evening and I can hear the churr of a nightjar off in the distance. So yeah, very, very lucky, very, very privileged. But it means I do have to live with the mozzies as well. So there are downsides.
I was going to say, you literally live the job, don't you? Because there's no escape. You are literally amongst it. But you must, hear other things and see other things as well, do you? From the garden?
Absolutely. So we get hobbies on the common. I've heard those. We get obviously the red kites and things drifting over. Before we started filming, there was a stag beetle flying around in the garden. So I've got a grass snake that lives in the garden on the regular. So yeah, very, very lucky. But a lot of this stuff as well is, people could genuinely have stag beetles in their gardens if they live in urban areas or, semi-urban areas. You could get a grass snake. So yeah, some of it is specialist to the heathland around here, but some of it is generalist as well.
Fantastic. We're not talking about snakes actually. After the last episode when we didn't see any. So if we do see some, hopefully we'll be able to show you. But great. Should we go and see what we can find?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. So before we go anywhere, I noticed this the other day, there's a little bit of oak processionary moth. There's one of their nests just on the base of this young oak tree here, and you can just make out there's a sort of a silk trail going up the tree where the caterpillars have followed each other. So there is a second nest up there somewhere in all likelihood, but I can't see it.
So do they just all, because this is the thing about, they do like line up and follow each other up the tree?
Yeah, literally sort of nose to tail, a single line running up the tree. Like I said, it's in leaf now, so it's going to be tricky to see a second nest, and we're losing the light, but they're up there. So yeah, their hairs can cause reactions to people, but I'm a couple of feet away, it's a still evening, and as long as I don't poke and prod that, we'll be fine. Pretty keen that we don't pump chemicals on to knock them on the head, because the chemicals aren't specific to the oak processionary moth. They will kill a load of other invertebrates. So unless they're causing an issue where it's over someone's garden or over a school playground or something like that, then clearly you've got to deal with them there. But out here where all that happens is people walk past a couple of times a day out in the open, the risk is really, really low. So one of those things we've got to monitor and keep an eye on, but ultimately also just sort of learn to live with, I think.
Leave them there, leave them alone.
Yeah.
Great, let's carry on. So let's talk about nightjars. So they are, sort of, like we said, pretty supernatural. They have that feeling about them. They come out at night, they travel long distances. But what can you tell us about nightjars in general?
So, I'm totally biased. I've been managing heathlands for the best part of the 17 years I've been at Surrey Wildlife Trust. And they are, for my money, one of the UK's most charismatic, individualistic birds. There's nothing else in the UK like a European nightjar. We get about 4,000 to 5,000 males churring every year in the UK, and the churring is the song essentially, which we'll hear later on. And recording the churring males is how we record an estimation of population, because obviously it's pitch black most of the time, so it's impossible to see how many males and females there are. But the males, like a lot of males, are loud, so we can hear them. They'll have one brood a year. They'll maybe have 2 eggs in a clutch. And they travel all the way up from sub-Saharan Africa. So an individual every year could do 3,000 to 5,000 miles on migration.
Wow, okay.
And come here just to breed. And we think of them as a British bird because they breed here, but they spend half their time in sub-Saharan Africa. So they're an international bird really, and we just borrow them for a few months while they raise young. So they're an incredibly well camouflaged, cryptic, mystical, mythical bird, like you said.
Cool, and I should say we're really lucky tonight because we've got a night vision camera with us that Duncan is on at the moment, and when the time comes we'll just switch it over and then hopefully we'll be able to see the nightjars flying around us. But as we've been saying recently, we haven't been that lucky with stuff that we've seen. So hopefully, fingers crossed tonight, we will be lucky. But tell us a little bit more about nightjars. So size, they're like sort of, I don't know, kestrel size?
Yeah, if you imagine, if anyone's seen a cuckoo, so yeah, cuckoo, kestrel, that kind of size, they do look a bit predatory in their design. Their wings are quite thin, and so if anyone's seen a hobby, those thin wings, or a cuckoo, very often you'll see a cuckoo and mistake that for a bird of prey in flight. They look a bit like that, but they have, they're almost owl-like in their action. They've got a very soft sort of flappy motion to their wings. It's not as powerful or as purposeful as a hobby is, let's say.
Okay.
And the males have these gorgeous little white tips to their wing feathers and the corners of their tail feathers, and that's how in dusk, when we start to lose the light and they start to come out, you'll be able to pick males apart from females whilst we've got a bit of light on our side, because you'll see these white wing tips. So they've got huge eyes relative to the size of the head. That lets in whatever light is left of an evening to help them see in the dark. The big beak helps because it's not easy to catch stuff in the dark on the wing. So the big beak helps increase their chances of catching. And either side of their beak, they've got a bit like our eyelashes. They've got these sort of feathers, but without the filaments that make a feather, if you like. So imagine our eyelashes poking out on either side of their beak, top and bottom. And that just helps act as like an extra security net, if you like. That if they just miss grabbing it with their beak, then it kind of gets caught in these feathers a bit, and they can sort of
get it.
kind of reach around and get it. So they're a bit like a basking shark in the air in terms of this massive mouth flying around trying to grab this stuff, but they do target insects. They don't just fly around with their mouth open and hope. They do find them and target.
Fantastic. Right, let's go and see if we can find one.
Yeah, we will. There's no, it will be, we will. One of the things that's always a good marker for me for nightjars coming out is before they come out, I'll often hear woodcocks roding, and you'll see them as well because they're out before it gets really dark.
Yeah.
So nightjars will start churring on a night like tonight with the sunset times and stuff that we've got. I don't know, anywhere from 9:15 to 9:30ish, give or take. That's kind of the window when they'll start. Woodcocks will start roding any time from now on, so we're just after 8:30, and they'll do this lovely little piping thin call as they fly around. It's normally a tree line, so where we've got the open heath here meeting this tree line here,
sort of
they'll hug the top of the tree line, and kind of go around in this sort of, what I was thinking of like a bit of a woody, heathy amphitheatre, and they'll patrol their territory around the outside. And when you hear the woodcock, I'm always like, oh brilliant, we're not far off starting to hear the nightjars now. An evening is like our waking up and having a bowl of cereal at 7 o'clock in the morning when we get the day going. They've just flipped it on its head.
Yep.
So they're getting up and they're thinking, they're stirring now, they're having a little stretch in bed, they're thinking about getting up and having breakfast. Whereas we're thinking about winding down, but they just do the night shift, that's all. Which is weird to us, but absolutely normal to them.
And they've got quite a range of different names as well, haven't they? So, I heard like goat sucker?
Yeah, goat sucker comes from their Latin. So their Latin is Caprimulgus europaeus. So the europaeus bit is European, so European nightjar. And the Caprimulgus, if you were to kind of break that word in half, you've got Capri, which is goat, like Capricorn, and Mulgus comes from the Latin mulga, which is to drink or milk drinker. So they're a goat milk drinker. Is where it comes from.
Why is that though?
Well, before we knew what they fed on and their physiology and their biology, imagine back when the heaths had shepherds out on them, and they would have animals, whether it's goats or sheep or cattle, and they would live with their animals out in the heath. Of an evening, they'd come to get their animals in because they might be risk of predators and things. So they get their animals in, or they'd hang around with their animals. Those animals would be moving through the heather and the undergrowth. As they're moving through the undergrowth of an evening, they're kicking up a load of insects. So the shepherds would get to see nightjars hanging around their goats, for example, of an evening, and the shepherds always thought they've come to steal the milk from the goats. They hadn't.
It makes sense.
The goats were kicking up a buffet of an evening, so these nightjars are waking up. They go, brilliant, breakfast. The goats have laid on a buffet for us. We'll go and eat all the insects. But what stuck was the mythology of they come to steal the milk.
Come to steal the milk.
Hence Caprimulgus, goat sucker. So on a guided walk, I normally do this thing where I'll run, there's no actual money changing hands, but a little fun bet of when we think we'll hear the first nightjar churring. So it's 8:49, just gone on my watch.
Okay.
What are you saying?
I'll say 9:10.
9:10?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go a bit later. I'm gonna go 9:17.
Okay. Duncan.
9:23.
Okay.
The pessimist of the group, go really late.
So we've got potentially half an hour if Duncan's right before you start churring.
Yeah.
And we were saying earlier that so nightjars don't build a nest, do they?
No.
So they just lay an egg on the floor.
It's literally find a spot on the floor where when the female or the male is sat on it, you're camouflaged. And yeah, they lay a couple of eggs and that's it. So yeah, they do not build a nest as such. Their nest is just a spot on the deck where they can blend in with the surroundings. So this is like the overflow from Baldermere.
I can see the
cows.
Cows have been around.
Yeah, they dug one side back, opened it up, and this just holds a bit more water for a bit longer now. If we can hold water here, that means it's not somewhere else. So when we get heavy rainfall events, we can soak it up here.
Soak it up here, which makes so much sense.
And anything downstream is a bit more protected. There's a woodcock, there he goes. See on top of the tree line there?
Oh, yeah.
That's a woodcock.
Okay, so let's take a quick break and have a look at what we spotted on and around the Surrey heathlands this month. Look at that Dartford warbler right here beside the path, all just flying off there. You should always look out for them as you're walking around. Their song is quite distinctive. So I'm out early on a Sunday morning and really excited to see and be able to show you this, which is for the first time in hundreds of years we have storks breeding, what looks like breeding, in Surrey. So here's a very close encounter with the deer just at the back of Wisley Common by McLaren Field. It's literally just beside the path. Just wandering off there. Just looking back at me. You see the there's two, there's another one right beside it. So back on Wisley Common. I'm just over, I don't actually know what the name of this lake is. So next to the sand pits, just up from the sandy track car park. And it's actually the first time I've been over here just to have a look. But after going to Thursday, I thought I'd check this out for dragonflies. And I don't know if you can see, but there are a bunch of dragonflies. They're just very quick, difficult to get in the camera. But there's a bunch of dragonflies flying around here. So if you get a moment, come and check them out. There's a few damselflies flying around as well. But yeah, dragonflies are worth checking out this time of year. So the light's starting to drop off now. We're starting to lose it a bit, but we still haven't heard or seen a nightjar.
Not yet.
Just listening, just listening to a stone chat, just like sort of chirping away beside us here. But we thought as the light's dropping now, we're going to switch to the night mode. So switch to the infrared camera. So Duncan, if you would be so kind, we are now on night mode, and this is what we're going to be using, hopefully, to spot the nightjars as it starts to get much darker now. So we'll stay like this for a while and see what we can find.
You get this 15-minute window where it's all going, it's chaos, the nightjars are churring, woodcock are blasting around all over the show, and then darkness really descends and it's nightjar time then, you know, they're in their element. But there's faint churring over here, so Duncan absolutely won it by going latest, tactical, but it's still a win. It's here somewhere, yeah. And it's typical, we've just moved from there to try and pick this one up and we're hitting that now. This is where when you're doing a survey, I don't know whether that bird has flown across to there. So we heard it churring somewhere over here, he's flown there, started churring, whether that's two separate birds.
Two separate ones.
So at the moment, if I was doing a survey, I'd say that's one nightjar. Oh, wing claps.
Oh, is it flying then?
Yeah. So that was what we call wing claps. But I found out a couple of years ago they're not. So people always used to think that the wing clap was the males clapping their wings together above their backs as a show of strength and physicality to other males and to the females to go look how fit and strong I am. They think now that's not what they're doing. The wing clap is the sound of the wing moving so fast on a downward motion through the air. It makes a sort of a rip sound through the air that we perceive as a clap sound. But it's just the wing moving so fast through the air, it makes a rip through the air. There's kind of two pitches to their churr. There's one pitch that's very long and drawn out, and then they have a shorter phrase that's a different pitch, and then they go back to that other pitch, which is the longer phrase. Now, so it'll sound something like. like that. Right?
It's pretty good.
It's
It's
alright,
pretty
isn't
good.
it? So
Yeah.
I've had 17 years to practice. So it's very natural for us to hear one churring there and go, oh, let's go and get a bit closer and see if we can see where it is. Here we go, look through there. There's the male, there we go. There's a contact call. Now he is close. He's probably in these birch trees just there. He might even be in this birch tree here. So there's those two phrases, really clear. Oh, look. Oh, no way. There we go. Oh, my God. I mean, that's not a small bird. No. That was right in front of us. And when it's up above the tree line, we can see it. The second it drops below it,
Lost it. Yeah.
it's just...
No idea.
We've got the A3 and the M25 there. There are probably tens of thousands of people every day driving past this. And most of them have got no idea. And there's this magical bird that's migrated all the way up from sub-Saharan Africa just to nest on our bit of heathland and have a brood or two, raise a few chicks, and then leg it all the way back to sub-Saharan Africa again and do the whole thing next year. It's just...
Well, James, I think we got 2 glimpses of nightjars tonight. We obviously heard them all around us. Probably 2, maybe 3 males, do we think there?
Yeah, I mean,
two?
definitely 2 males. I wouldn't be surprised given the activity we had if there was a third. If I was surveying, I'd call it 2.
Okay.
Because you always err on the side of caution. But yeah, wouldn't surprise me if there was 3 here.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe potentially up to 3. And we saw 2 fly over us. We'll have to see whether we actually managed to catch those on camera. It'd be amazing if we did, if Duncan was quick enough. Oh, there's one there, just straight behind you.
Here we go.
Oh, amazing, still going, still going.
Yeah, going left.
Well, that was exciting. We got interrupted then by a nightjar, literally flying just over Duncan's head and then just coming around behind us, and then a second one as well. So really great night. Thank you so much for taking us out tonight on a tour here at Wisley Common. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure. I mean, I do nothing but stop you falling in holes that I know exist in the ground. The nightjars do all the work. So yeah,
But there are nightjar walks that you're doing, but they're all fully booked, I hear.
We're fully booked at the minute, yeah. We're desperately trying to find a way to get a few more squeezed on if we can. But there'll be a load of other organisations doing them as well. And if folks are comfortable coming out on a heath, I would say come out in a pair of you, a couple or something like that, so you're not on your own. But yeah, it's a stunning experience to have with nature in the UK that I would recommend anyone who gets the chance to do it, go and do it, because there is nothing else like it. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Amazing. Well, there we go. Couldn't put it better myself. Yeah, definitely worth going out if you can to come out and experience not only the heathlands at night, but you might get a chance to hear a nightjar and also sort of see them flying around. So what a great experience. So really lucky. Thank you so much again. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've enjoyed watching this episode, please put your comments down below. But thanks again, and we'll see you next month.